Let's briefly talk about some of these blending modes and what they do. So right here we had done multiply. Multiply does what the name implies. It multiplies the selected layer's color values with the color values of underlying layers. Lighten, what that does is it uses the lightest color value it finds after comparing pixels on the selected layer to underlying layers. Overlay, what that does is it increases contrast in underlying layers, especially in light and dark areas. The difference is smaller the closer the selected layer's color value is to middle gray, which applies no change to underlying layers. That's overlay. Luminosity replaces the luminance of underlying pixels using the selected layer. And difference subtracts darker colors from lighter ones. It's a great way to visually identify the differences between two nearly identical images on separate layers. So in other words, if I were to ask you which blending mode subtracts darker colors from lighter ones, what would the answer be? Difference. That might be seen again. So now let's resize and rotate some layers. Changing the position, size, and angle of layers gives you many creative possibilities. In Photoshop, these kinds of edits are called transformations. We performed transformations in the last lesson, and they also apply to layers. Click the visibility icon on the beach layer to make it visible. Select the beach layer in the Layers panel. And we did this before, edit and then transform, but I'm going to show you the shortcut method for that. If you are on a Mac, it would be Command T. If you're on a Windows, it would be Control T. Honestly, choosing the free transform, I never go to this. I always do Command T or Control T. It's much easier, and that's a shortcut that you should probably remember. So when we do that, a transform bounding box appears around the beach image. The bounding box has square handles on each quarter and each side. First, we're going to resize and angle the layer. Up here, you can see as we make some changes, we're going to click this and we're going to drag it down. To about 50% of what it was. And you can see right here, it's 50%. And then we're going to rotate it 15 degrees. We can click right here and we can drag, see how it changes to the arrow thing. Or we could also click up here and simply type 15 and press enter. So there's just showing you different ways you can do things. We could have gone up here if we knew that we wanted to reduce it 50%. We could have gone up here and typed 50% and 15, or we can manually do it. Whatever is easier for you, but it's great knowing different ways to do things. So with the bounding box still active, position the, we already did that. You can also commit a transformation by clicking far outside the transform bounding box. Just make sure you aren't clicking somewhere that will alter a setting or layer accidentally. We're just going to click the check mark right here, and that commits to what we've done. So let's make the flower layer visible. And we want to select the move tool, and you should still be on your beach layer. And we're going to drag this up so the beach photo corner is tucked neatly beneath the flower. Let's do it about like, and yours doesn't have to be exactly like mine, but just make sure that it is tucked under there. I'm going to do it like that. Yours doesn't have to be exact, just make sure it's like that. And if you didn't want to do it 50% and 15, if you wanted to do something different, you can, as long as you've done something. Okay? So now let's, great time to click File and Save. We are now going to use a filter to create artwork. And to me, this is kind of pretty cool what we're about to do. We're going to create a new layer with no artwork on it. When you add empty layers to a file, it's comparable to adding blank sheets of clear film to a stack of images. You'll use this layer to add realistic looking clouds to the sky with the Photoshop filter. In the Layers panel, select the background layer to make it active. And then we're going to click the plus right here to create a new layer. And you can see that it created a new layer right above the background layer. This layer has no content, so it has no effect on the image. You could also create a new layer by choosing Layer, New, Layer. Much easier to just click right there. Just showing you different ways. So now double click the name Layer 1 and we're going to name it Clouds. Now, do you see anything that looks like clouds? Nope. In the Tools panel, click the foreground swatch, and we want it to be a sky blue color. You can select a blue that you like, or you can type in some numbers. Like I'm going to type R48, G138, B174, and that gives me a sky blue color. Or you can just select whatever blue that you want and click OK. You can see that our foreground color is now that blue that we did. If you're an expert, or excuse me, if you expect to use a certain color frequently in multiple documents, you can add it to your Creative Cloud libraries. You can create a swatch of the color in the Swatches panel and then drag the swatch to a library in the Libraries panel. Now that color is available anytime you want to. With the cloud layer still active, make sure you're still active. We're going to choose File, and then sometimes I just have a hard time seeing things. Hang on. And then sometimes I'm an idiot. Don't click File. I said click File. The word I meant it starts F-I-L, but it's Filter. Filter. Click Filter. And then go down here to Render. And then Clouds. And watch what happens. You now have some clouds in your image. Everybody's is going to look a little bit different based on the blue that you have, and you can see there's a little bit of gray smattering of clouds in there. Smattering, that's not a word you say every day, but we just said it. So let's go ahead and click File, Save.